I suppose the other thing that interests me is that, Rishi Sunak was 3 years an MP, ambitious, upwardly mobile, and yet you would think that that would be the last thing you would do if you're thinking, right, how do I get my foot on the ministerial ladder and rise to the top to become Prime Minister? You don't give 3 million to an American academic institution, which already probably has a ton of money already. And yet that is sort of the attraction of Rishi Sunak, is that he's not a conventional grasping, grabbing politician in that way that we've seen other people plotting every step and manoeuvre.
Yeah. I mean,
we
do spend a lot of time saying we get the wrong politicians because they all come from the same school or the same structure or the same, Oxford University course or the same sort of career trajectory, right? Now, Rishi Sunak, I'm not pretending that, he sort of...
Winchester, Oxford, Goldman Sachs.
I know, he wasn't an acrobat in the circus. But I'm just saying there is something vaguely refreshing about having somebody who is so far removed from the grubbiness of politics that actually he's kind of turned around and saying, you know what, actually I could have been a tech billionaire. I was a Goldman Sachs billionaire. I've got an incredibly rich wife. I never need to work again in my life. I could spend a lot more time in that heated swimming pool. But I am actually going to go into politics. And I think if we put our money where our mouth is, as a country, and we say we do want people from all different walks of life, like we're always asking people like George Clooney or, Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, why don't you go into public life? Why don't you become president? Why don't you stand for this? And so it strikes me that actually we have to extend that curiosity about people who are phenomenally rich at the very top, because you also have to sort of say, well, maybe they have something to give to politics, just as, we want to encourage people from all walks of life who don't have, the same educational benefits and who don't have the same money and who don't have the sort of career trajectory. I guess we do want a properly mixed field, don't we?
Yes, and to a point you've made before on this podcast, Maitlis, and I hate to blow smoke, but it was a good point, which is that, isn't it a relief that, at the weekend we have in the Sunday Times, will Boris Johnson's taxpayer-funded lawyers be stopped? And we had endless stories about Boris Johnson and money and gold rolls of wallpaper and who was funding it and where did the money come from, and scrounging, it seems, while you're Prime Minister to get money from wherever you can to pay for his complicated private life. You don't have that with Rishi Sunak.
Look, it was 15 years ago that we were itemising, the cat food and the trouser press and the duck pond and the various items that people were putting through, MPs were putting through as expenses on behalf of the taxpayer, right? I'm not sure that we're ever going to have that problem with Rishi Sunak. Is that a reason for saying we only want very rich MPs? Of course it isn't. Of course we want to have people from all walks of life and, dare I say, people who do claim things on expenses when it's legitimate. But I think that there is something that enables you to be completely above the fray. I mean, almost incorruptible when nobody can buy you.
The Newsagents. This is a Global Player original podcast.